8 is lobbyists at board meetings.
Okay, Steve, I need, and Harold, your input on this. We had a complaint at, I think it was the planning board, that before the meeting, people were coming up to members of those boards and quote lobbying them for their projects. Now, I don't have specific names or who they were doing or what the projects were, but is that appropriate? I mean, should that, should people who are gonna testify before the board be discussing projects with them before the board starts?
The answer to that, Mayor, is no, but I have to see evidence of it before I do it. Somebody could be coming up and say, hey, you had a birthday party for your kid, everything seems fun, I don't know. But to specifically talk.
Well, I think,
about-
again, I was told that they were showing plans, or at least pictures of things and
No,
stuff like that.
everything has to be done on the record in front of the entire board, and ex parte a board.
Do me a favor then, would you prepare a letter to both John Jackson and Jerry Dasty, the zoning and planning board attorneys, asking them to pay specific attention to what goes on before or even after the meetings, to make sure that none of this is going on, and that they discuss it with the boards to inform them of what the appropriate behavior with the public and with professionals that come before those boards is?
Sure will.
Okay?
Yeah, there's another, I mean, if I may, there's another, I know by the zoning
Oh,
board.
actually, can I do you see that happening when you're at the board?
I'm not there very often, but this is my other question. So I know by the zoning board, they say it's like a
Quasi-judicial.
Quasi-judicial, so
Right.
it's even
And
worse.
you can't talk to them at all. You can't talk to an applicant about their application outside of the zoning board. And my question is if the same thing applies, because I have that all the time. People call me up with like minor questions. I don't even remember who's what. And then, and I wouldn't even know which ones to abstain from and which ones not to abstain from, so.
Well, if it's not a quorum, then it's not a board meeting, but it would be the same thing, we get questions about this all the time. You try a jury case, and a jury gets on an elevator with you, you can't say, gee, how do you think my case is going? I mean, you can't do that stuff, you know?
Right, so an applicant, when they're preparing their plans, they ask you, is this something I should push for, is this not something I should push for?
They should go to the professionals, they should go to the board engineer,
Right.
those guys can talk.
Like once,
beforehand.
my question is, I assume myself, I assume that once that happens to me, I have to abstain or recuse myself.
Are you offering advice, or they just question you?
Well, I tell them like the board likes to see sidewalks, you should put in sidewalks, stuff like that. Or, when they ask technical questions.
I would recommend that you just refer them over to the professionals. If they want to,
Yeah.
what people have done with me is they've actually sent me letters about zoning issues, and I've just forwarded them over to Tom and said, please send these to the correct boards.
Yeah, they can always ask for an informal hearing before the planning board. I don't know if Lakewood's planning board does that, but if they had a concept plan or they had ideas and they're trying to bounce off board members, no, let it come to an informal, come in, say, this is what we're thinking about, what do you guys think? That's a setting where the
That's the
full board
board's
can
job,
talk.
that's not our
Yeah.
job. Our job is to tell you.
Our job is to make sure the boards are doing their job properly, so that's why I'm asking, please draft the letter in the strongest terms possible to pay close attention to what goes on, the conversations that are being had between members and professionals and even members of the public.
And I think the best thing for you to do is to say, look, upon the advice of our attorneys, I really can't discuss this with you. However, our professionals are more than happy to spend time. This way you can say, my board said I can't do this.
But if someone does speak to a board, if a board member does speak to an applicant, do they have to recuse themselves? At the zoning board, I know Dasty says that they.
I remember when I was on the board, the exposure, I was on the zoning board, so it was different. People really couldn't speak to you before, but we took a lot of these classes, the MLU classes. So it seemed, from what I remember, you were allowed to speak to a planning board member beforehand because a planning board member is not a quasi-judicial body. But the caution on the planning board member, exactly what you just said, is if you gave the impression that if you do A, B, C, and D, then things are going to go well, and then they come in front of the board and there's a problem, then they say, what do you mean? I spoke to you. You told me to do A, B, C, and D, and now I got
You
voted
should not be
down.
doing that. Again,
That
Tom,
was the issue.
just make sure the two attorneys, kind of give a little refresher course to the board on what the correct and incorrect actions and interactions with
Do you
people.
guys still have to take those classes that I used to take them? when I was on the
You
zoning
have to
board?
take them once, every
2
member
years,
has,
right?
no, now I think every board member is supposed to take them once.
Just once?
Yeah, when you come on, that's what
Oh, yeah.
they send.
Okay.
We check the roll call. They will-
Yeah, and just send me a copy of the letters that you send out to them as well. Yeah, thanks. Tom?
All right, so, okay. Number 9 is